Justice Ahmed Old Maloud.
Hello. Thank you very much all for coming. Thank you, Professor. Oh, all right. Hello. Can you hear me now? All right. So I will speak about the repercussion, the reactions in Algeria and Mauritania and Libya. Now, I will start with Algeria, and that's not a coincidence because we know that while the demonstrations were taking place in Tunisia, demonstrations were taking place as well in Algeria. And everyone thought Algeria might come first. I mean, no one anticipated that Tunisia would come to the consequences that took place in Tunisia. No one expected them. But people thought Algeria would be the place to look at. Now, I think Algeria is still the place to look to because on the 12th of February, most of the political parties are planning on making a major demonstration to face the regime. Now, the regime has been reading and reacting to the event in the Arab world, and particularly to the event in Egypt. Now, a few days ago, precisely on Wednesday, the government said that they would not allow the demonstration on the 12th of February to take place. Yesterday, they said they will think of allowing the demonstration to take place. Now, again, they came and they said they are considering to lift the state of emergency that has been in the country since 1992, which is 19 years of martial law. Now, the opposition said that this is not going to change anything. They will march, and the march is not intended to simply lift. That's not the goal, is not to lift these martial law, but rather to change the fundamental ways in which the government deal with the Algerian. Now, at the same time, the government said Algeria, the capital, is going to be the exception, meaning no demonstration will be allowed in Algeria, the capital at all. Now, and we will see what will happen because the opposition said that the demonstration has to take place both in Algeria and outside Algeria. At the same time, the government has been making a number of steps to calm the situation. Now, they announced that they will be providing more than 64,000 jobs this year alone. At the same time, the police has been given order not to initiate struggle with small demonstration, but at the same time, the state has been asking the scholars to use their power, the traditional power of the religious scholars, to ask people not to create havoc or damage to the unity, insisting all along that Algeria is not Tunisia and it is not Egypt. Now, Libya. Libya is a very interesting situation because on one hand, the regimes think they are vindicated. Now, the Libya think this is another testimony to the fact that any traditional form of governance would not work. Only the Libyan theory, which is the hukm al-jamahir, would reign eventually. Now, the Libyans, the opposition says the hukm al-jamahir is nothing but a dictatorship, a facade for dictatorship, and that's not going to work. Now, the government has been really trying to repress any form of dissent. They're trying to shut down specifically the social media networks like Twitter, Facebook, and so on and so forth. That's one of the things that the government has been focusing on. In Mauritania, I'm trying to rush because of the time constraint. In Mauritania, we have, again, you see the same dichotomy. The government is happy that the current president is quite happy that he has been in power only for 1 year. Hosni Mubarak has been for 30 years. He came in a coup d'etat in 2009 and in 2008, but he was elected only last year. I mean, obviously the election was a sham. Was not free or transparent for that matter. But the opposition has been trying to sort of capitalize on the movement, on the new synergy in the region to try to push the government to make call for early election. Now, one Mauritanian unfortunately had tried sort of to to emulate what the Tunisian gentleman who burned himself at the beginning. One Mauritanian also set himself on fire in front of the parliament. Unfortunately, he died a few days later, but no revolt yet in Mauritania. Part of that is because the Mauritanian culture the change has been coming very frequent, but in terms of coup d'etat. Right, and I will stop with that remark because it seems the time is up.
All right, and now we'll hear from Dr. Adel Gamal on what's going on in his home country of Egypt.
Layla, I hope I will not disappoint you. They described me as someone who knows a great deal about Egypt. Maybe I do. I have been going to Egypt since I came here in 1975, twice a year. Spend the summer and part of the winter break there. Now, I'm not going to tell you about things that you already know from the news, but what I really would like to explore with you is the explore with you the reason behind this astonishing uprising. And some of those reasons, of course, are known, like political repression, like the bad economy and so forth, but I have other things that I would like to share with you. Some time ago, the government made a very bad decision, and that is to let people say whatever they want to say, let the newspapers, especially the private owned one, not the government run one, and also the TV stations, which also is not owned by the government, to say whatever they're going to say. This will be fine. This will express the idea that there is democracy in Egypt, because nothing is going to result out of that. What they really missed is that by the passing of time, they have opened the eyes and the heart and the minds of people in Egypt, especially the young people. So we have one of the very influential two stations that I can see, or two TV stations. One is in Jazeera, and the other one is an Egyptian one called Dream. And in both of them, they have exposed the corruption, the bad economy in Egypt, the political repression, and so forth. Especially Dream in Egypt, there is a program called Wahed min Nas, one of the people, one of the common people, in which there are every day, during the weekends, there are something like to expose, to bear the problems, especially of poverty, that are in Egypt, especially in the countryside and in Upper Egypt. And that's, by the passing of time, really accumulated and made the young men aware of what happening in their country. That's in addition, of course, to they are out of work. About 9 million people, young men, are out of work. There is a political repression that they know, and so forth. So, and also the point that Dr. Hudson mentioned about the Facebook, about Twitter, about all this kind of internet programs, that has given the young men an opportunity to exchange ideas and so forth. Now, one major incident that might have sparkled this, other than the Tunisian model or Tunisian incident, is that there was in Alexandria about a year ago a very famous or tragic, actually, event where someone called Khalid Saeed was brutally murdered by the police. And that caused an uprising in Alexandria, especially because they were from Alexandria. So the accumulation of these kind of things really prepared the young people to do this uprising. And of course, the Tunisian model, or the Tunisian revolution, was the spark that led to all this. I think I used my 5 minutes, and I will be happy to explore with you anything that you would like after the session is over. Thank you.
Okay, next we'll hear from Dina Jadallah. Some of you might be familiar with her journalistic writings, which she publishes in Alexander Coburn's Counterpunch.
First, I speak for many people in the community here, I'm sure, when I say that I stand in solidarity with and in absolute awe of the power of the Egyptian people to make their own history and to show the world how popular revolution is really done. This is how you achieve freedom and democracy. This is how the Egyptian nation will make its own history instead of having it made for them in the West and imposed on them by dictatorial regimes that are almost completely disconnected from society. The central question of this panel is democracy or dictatorship. It's basically a summation of a consistent policy of American hypocrisy in the Middle East, where democratic rhetoric often clashes with the purported promotion of security and stability. The organizers of this event had the foresight to add winds of change. Indeed, what the Tunisian and Egyptian examples are exposing is the central question that lies at the heart of the democracy or dictatorship dichotomy. The revolution in Egypt indicates that Egyptians are seizing and creating their sovereignty vis-à-vis a regime that is both dictatorial and that projects external hegemonic interests in the region. According to both the Bush and the Obama administrations, a moderate regime is one that cooperates with and executes their interests centered around the protection of Israel and control over the region's massive energy resources. Egypt is the linchpin for maintaining the US Camp David regime as well as conducting its war on terror. So the treaties and cooperative arrangements that were concluded with leaders who do not represent the will of the people stand to fall if the Mubarak regime falls. The US fears a domino effect from this. I just want to point to a few notable features of this revolution. First, the wall of fear has been broken. The number of demonstrators grow all the time, despite of and in response to the suppression and violence of the regime. That is an enormous achievement. We are witnessing the birth of popular revolutions that include wide swaths of society, exhibiting levels of awareness, activism, organizational excellence, cooperation, sophistication of thought and strategy, and insistence on the unity of Egyptians regardless of creed. Second, the demands are secular, focusing on fundamental political and economic change, accountability, and progress. Third, the regime's policy of treating its people as the enemy, trying to terrorize them into submission, is too blatant to ignore. The horse and camel show that we all witnessed in amazement only led to the growth and escalation of the people's reactions and demands for freedom. 4, the role of the Egyptian army has been dubious at best and has sprung forth demands for accountability. 5th, the street is way ahead of the leadership. There is no centralized leadership. If you are from the Arab world, that is a good thing. Instead, there is a networked collective of Egyptians who coalesced around the slogan of "Ash-Sha'b yurid isqat al-nizam," which is the people want to get rid of the regime. Significantly, this slogan goes beyond US calls for reform. 6, there is a clear foreign policy content that is evident in the slogans chanted all over the country. People are completely aware of whose interests the Mubarak regime truly represents. The slogans also show that there is a common dialogue between Arabs, and this is enhanced by new media and social networks. Finally, the Egyptian revolution calls into question the credibility of US democratic rhetoric of economic progress defined by neoliberal theories, and finally, that stability can be achieved by oppressive regimes. Thank you.